Good morning, everybody. You are back listening to another incredible episode of Red, White, and Brown with Live. And we have all three of us today, Shreya, Mira, and Michael, to review some fun movies, some fun series, and some not so fun movies and series. So for you today, we are going to cover Saas, Bahu, Achaar Private Limited, which I believe is a TV and web series that was out on D5. And then we're also going to do Khuda Hafiz Chapter 2, which was in theaters, and Mira got a chance to enjoy it full screen, of course. And then lastly, Modern Love Hyderabad, which was out on Prime. So let's go ahead and get started with Saas, Bahu, Achaar Private Limited. Mira, do you want to give them a treetop overview? What was it about?
Well, Saas, Bahu, Achaar Private Limited. Well, the title is a smart, saleable enough hook to get you right away. It's the name of a company that this woman and her mother-in-law really forms, because Saas in Hindi means mother-in-law and Bahu means daughter-in-law. So daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, Achaar is pickles. So what they do is they make pickles, homemade pickles, and they go into buses on the highway and start selling those pickles in buses to make a living. Because what happens is, after years of being married to the guy and having 2 kids, the guy falls out of love with her and falls in love with another woman and has a kid with another woman. And it's nothing like you've seen in, normal serials or Bollywood, stereotypical tropes where, I've fallen out of love with you, so let's hate each other, or, let's have a very acrimonious thing. And the other woman's this typical evil stepmother. Nothing of that sort. I have not seen. There isn't any melodrama here at all. The melodrama is somewhere else. The melodrama is this woman trying to settle herself into a new life, trying to sell a product, and trying to earn a living which would allow her to get custody of her children. And literally, this is her story, and how her mother-in-law, who is now her ex-mother-in-law, is trying to help her set up a business so that she can get going and, have her kids with her. At the same time, where the other woman, who's now married to her husband, is literally the sweetest ever. She's actually supporting the family. So, it is literally told with so much humor that absolutely loved watching it. There is the intention of the entire story is to tell you something that is very different. Like, when you watch the show, you actually feel as if you're watching people that are next door neighbors, really relatable people. The protagonist, the woman, is a woman called Suman, and that's Amrita Subhash, and she is just amazing in the show. Her acting skills are so amazing, but she is grossly underused throughout the show. I wish they had given her a bigger canvas. And then I have to tell you that Anup Soni, the guy who plays the man, the husband, again, he doesn't have so many scenes at all. We did interview him, guys, and his interviews up on our social and on our website. Do watch it as well. And his skills are also grossly underused in the show. However, there is this entire humor, subtlety with which this entire story is told, of how she struggles to literally learn the ropes while people make not only fun of her, but actually she learns by making mistakes. She trusts the wrong people. She learns by seeing other people do stuff. She actually learns by falling. And that entire process of her becoming an entrepreneur is actually pretty interesting.
Well, to kind of wrap things too, like, one thing that I really took away from this is that, like, it really showed how, like, things such as, like, big divorce and kind of being left on your own when you may not be equipped with the tools to be able to provide for 2 kids and live a very sustainable life. Like, this showed that, like, it's not necessarily the end of the world, and that, like, anyone can be able to pick up from an event like this and be able to make something out of themselves. Because when you hear that, like, someone gets divorced, they're illiterate, and they that are trying to raise two kids, like you're just like, there's no way that anyone's going to do this. But you see that there are people that care for this woman. There are people that want to see her succeed, and there are people that are support her. And, you know, through that and through her, you know, kind of supporting herself and, you know, seeing that in herself, I think that this really did show that if you're in a situation like this, you know, when life really gets tough, it's possible to pick back up.
And we were just telling you about Saas, Bahu, Achaar Private Limited on Z5, but we didn't get to finish. So let's talk about the technical aspects of the show. What did you guys think about cinematography, about lighting, about settings, about actors, like the script? What did you think of everything else?
Well, I thought the writing was actually pretty nice. I like the way this movie wasn't about liberation. It was about a woman finding off her own. It was about choices people make and how one person's choices affects the life of another person. But it was also about courage. It was about of a moment and how one's choices trigger the choices of another person. It can trigger the life of another person. But the writing really shapes an entire world of these people. The father really gives his fatherhood a fair chance, but while doing that, while he's doing justice as a father, the mother, who's a homemaker, is not much literate. She cannot give her role much of a chance. So she kind of feels she fails as a mother because she's not literate enough. And all she's been told while when she was married off was, here's a guy, he's going to take care of you, get married. And all she did while married to the guy was take care of the guy so that he provides for her. So now that she doesn't have the guy anymore, and the guy's fallen out of love with her, she just doesn't know what to do with her life. She's rudderless, and she doesn't know how to get her children back, whom she absolutely loves. And then she has a very supporting mother-in-law, but they all don't know what to make of their lives. So they're completely directionless. And she's just trying to find direction. The conflict here is that the father, having fallen in love with his wife, is actually married to a really nice woman too. So she's not your evil stepmother. She's actually really nice and understanding, and she comes across, her character arc is written really well, and she comes across as somebody, she feels guilty about taking another woman's space. So I really like the way her character arc's been written as well. So writing is really strong. The humor is very well done. I think the screenplay written by Swandeep Biswas, Abhishek Shrivastava, and Manan Madan is really good. The narrative they built, the really broken stereotypic tropes of how such a complex relationship in a small town can happen in a stereotypical Indian family, how such relationships normally happen on Indian television. That trope is really broken here. So really well done. Some of the characters are really well written as well, like this neighbor that Sunan has, who cheats on her, takes her samples, telling her that he's taken her pickle samples and taking those samples to big multinational corporates. But what he's really doing is taking those samples and selling them in buses as his own and making the money and keeping it. So, and then she comes to know once she's riding a bus, and she realizes he's actually selling her products in the buses. So what she does is she gets on the buses and tries selling her products. So she really doesn't know how to do it. And then she realizes when somebody else comes in, bottles their product and leaves that sample with their number on it, then she realizes, oh, I got to market myself like that too. So her entire process of marketing herself is an entire, revelation, is a process for her entrepreneurship to happen as well. And she gives up a lot of times. She's this character. Her character arc is written very well. So I thought the writing was the strongest of this entire show, and very well written, although some actors could have had a bigger arc here. They didn't get to shine, and Anup Soni, perhaps one of the stronger actors in this entire show, did not get the time and space to really prove his level, but he was there, and mostly the actors carried the show, and the writing being really superb. A one-time really good binge watch, streaming on Z5. Take a look there.